大家好，我在安庆. I arrived yesterday afternoon. It was a very long trip. I flew from London to Beijing and then flew again from Beijing to Nanjing, and then finally I took the train from Nanjing to Anqing. In the end, it was about 27 hours of continuous travelling, and I didn't sleep at all the whole time. So as you can imagine, I was very, very tired. I live in the UK, so this trip to Anqing was a holiday for me. However, when I was there, I didn't really feel like I was on holiday. I don't mean that in a bad way. I certainly had a good time. But usually, when I go on holiday, the place where I stay feels very different from my normal life. It's novel and exciting, but it can also be a bit confusing and require time to settle in. But being in Anqing doesn't feel like that at all. I know the city well, and I feel very comfortable as soon as I arrive. So, in a way, going there feels less like going somewhere on holiday and more like returning home. I'm not trying to say that Anqing is my home. After all, despite having visited many times, I only actually lived there for 1 year. But when I travel there, I don't feel like I'm going somewhere, but rather that I'm returning somewhere. It's very similar to the feeling I get when I return to my hometown in the UK, where I no longer live, but visit often. I am in a very old part of downtown Anqing. It looks quite different today to how it looked when I used to live here. That's because it's been restored so that it looks closer to how it would have done in the past. I think that the restoration has been done really well. Not only is this now an area where you can see what Anqing looked like in the past, but it is also a popular destination for going out. There are lots of cute restaurants and independent shops, but what I liked the most were the small displays and museums in the area. They were very well done and really informative. I wish the restoration had been done when I lived in Anqing. I would have gone there often. One of the best things about being back in Anqing is eating lots of great local food. And of course, I went to Beijing and had one of my all-time favourite meals, Anqing Chao Mian. I tried Anqing Mi Gao for the first time on this trip. It was nice, and I'd certainly eat it again, but it definitely isn't my favourite food. However, it was fun to still be able to discover Anqing food I hadn't tried before after so many years of sampling the local cuisine. But as always, the best things I ate were the many homemade dishes cooked for me by my in-laws. One of the most memorable was Anhui-style Xiaolong baozi, cooked by one of my aunties. When I first came to Anqing back in 2012, I discovered this milk tea drink. And I used to drink one every single day. In fact, some days I'd drink 2. I think I became a little bit addicted to them. But in the end, I decided to stop because there's quite a lot of calories and sugar in these drinks, and so I think it's better to drink them only every now and then. One day, I took a taxi out to the countryside and did some hiking in Long Shan. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I love the outdoors. I do trail running in the Derbyshire countryside in the UK, and I spent a lot of time running and cycling in the mountains around Fuzhou. However, despite having lived in Anqing for a year and visiting many times, I haven't actually explored the countryside there at all. Anqing, and this part of Anhui in general, is full of picturesque mountains, rivers and forests. In fact, it's generally regarded as one of the most naturally beautiful areas in the whole of China. So I hope to be able to explore the countryside around Anqing a lot more in the future. I've been to a lot of temples in China, but this one feels especially peaceful. I can certainly see why it would be a good place to come and contemplate. The part of Long Shan I hiked in was not huge. I walked around it for about 3.5 hours, and I think I covered all the trails and paths. But it was really nice. It was very peaceful and had some amazing views. 2025 was a very difficult year for me. Several challenging things happened, and I had some extremely bad news. In fact, a couple of very difficult things happened shortly before my planned holiday to China, and I considered cancelling the trip. But I'm very glad that I didn't. Anqing was the perfect place for me to get some much needed time and space. It was far enough away and different enough from my daily life to give me some distance and distraction from all that was going on. But also, it was familiar enough and comfortable enough for me to feel relaxed and at ease. I feel very fortunate to be able to have this home away from home, and I look forward to coming back to Anqing again soon.